What's going on, guys? This Saturday we have UFC 317 taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada at the T-Mobile Arena, and at the top of the card we have one of the biggest championship fights of the year between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira. This matchup is between a very hungry former featherweight champion who is moving up to the lightweight division in order to get a new belt in Ilia Topuria. He is coming off of two of the most monumental knockouts over some of the greatest champions in the game, over Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. If he finishes Charles Oliveira in similar fashion, it will probably be the greatest streak of wins and or finishes in UFC history. And on the other hand, we have Charles Oliveira, who is the former lightweight champion, who's coming off of a 2-2 record since losing the belt to Islam Makhachev. But before that, he had a very dominant string of wins as well over names like Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, and Justin Gaethje. And a lot of fans would love to see him reclaim this belt because he is one of the most fan-friendly fighters in the game with his chaotic, destructive style. On one hand, Topuria is a very crisp boxer. He is very lethal with his punching technique, especially with that right hand. He's got a lot of knockdowns and knockouts with it. And he also is a jiu-jitsu black belt and has been so since a youth. And he has some of the most confidence of any fighter in the UFC, comparable to Conor McGregor, and that means a lot in the fight game. It can oftentimes overshadow skill, but he has skill on top of it. So he is a great fighter, and if he beats Charles Oliveira and becomes a double champ, he will reach a level of greatness that few have achieved. However, even though Topuria may seem unstoppable right now, he does have weaknesses. He does oftentimes get hit, and he hasn't faced a guy with knockout power and finishability like Charles Oliveira has. He also has way less length than Charles Oliveira, and the last time he went up to 55 was when he fought Jai Herbert, and in that fight it was another long kickboxing stylist with a sniper-like style, and he was able to put Topuria almost out on numerous occasions, so he gave him a lot of trouble. And seeing as Charles Oliveira is similar in stature and style, it will be very interesting to see how he deals with it. Charles Oliveira is an elite finisher everywhere the fight goes. He is one of the best submission artists in UFC history. He has the most submissions in UFC history, but he also has the most finishes in general in UFC history, plus the most bonuses in UFC history. He recently has become more known for his striking, although he was known in the past for his submission ability, and he is just very good at pressuring his opponents immediately, getting in their face and landing hard shots with any of the 8 limbs with that Muay Thai pressure heavy style. He has hard punches, hard knees, hard elbows, hard kicks. Every single one can put your lights out. On the other hand, Charles Oliveira's pressure-heavy style oftentimes does get him into trouble. He shows little to no concern for the striking of his opponent when he gets in their faces, and he oftentimes will get knocked down early. And against a guy like Topuria, with that right hand especially, it is very dangerous to play the game of showing little to no concern for the offense of the opponent. Moreover, Charles Oliveira has much more experience with loss than Topuria does, so he may have less confidence than his opponent does. Keys to victory in this fight: Ilia Topuria really needs to let Charles Oliveira come into the pocket, keep his guard strong, and counter hard. Like I said, Charles Oliveira does get hit very often, and Topuria, if he touches him a few times, he can put his lights out, or he can at least put him down. And the decision other people have made in the past that has kind of bit them in the ass when it comes to Charles Oliveira is when they knock him down, they will let him get back up because they don't want to contend with his jiu-jitsu. However, I think Topuria will be confident enough, especially with his jiu-jitsu background, to go to the ground and finish the fight, very like what Makhachev did after knocking down Charles Oliveira with the right hand and then finishing him with a head and arm choke. As for Charles Oliveira, he really needs to be more calculated in this fight than he's ever been. He really needs to maintain distance instead of rushing right into the fire. He needs to use those long-range weapons since he is the longer fighter. Use long punches, use long kicks, try to throw head kicks and catch Topuria off guard. as Topuria is a boxer and doesn't really have a lot of benefit in the kickboxing range, and Topuria was caught by a head kick by Jai Herbert in this fight against him. So I think those long-range weapons will really come in handy if Charles Oliveira offloads them with that ferocity that he normally does. But if Topuria does get close, use those elbows, use those knees, try to get Topuria to the ground and submit him, or find the knockout on the feet, because I don't think that Topuria is used to the power of guys like Charles Oliveira. As for my prediction, I am leaning towards Ilia Topuria. He is just so confident right now. He's beat such big names. He is undefeated, but he is just so good at putting people's lights out with that boxing technique, that right hand especially. And Charles Oliveira just gets hit too early, too often. And I think the difference is that Topuria will go to the ground and finish the fight if he does knock him down instead of putting him out right away with the first shot. So I think Topuria will likely secure this. However, I would not be surprised whatsoever if Charles Oliveira ends up taking out Ilia Topuria. Charles Oliveira is a 55er. Ilia Topuria is only having his second fight in the weight class. Charles is way longer. He is way more powerful than most of the people that Topuria has faced in the past. And I think that Charles Oliveira could be just the guy to create a huge upset. And I really don't think that it would be as big of an upset as people are kind of making it seem. I think it's just that Charles Oliveira has been inconsistent at times in his career, whereas Ilia Topuria, people have not seen him lose yet. But like I said, Ilia Topuria does get hit. He is not invincible. And Charles Oliveira is the best finisher, likely, in the UFC of all time. So do not count out Charles Oliveira. If you are betting on this fight, I would bet on Charles Oliveira just because he is such an underdog for very little reason in this fight. Therefore, it would be a big cash out and worth the bet. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and follow to support the page.